Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for watching and what I believe will be very quick but a very important conversation, and that is a strong encouragement for all of us in our spiritual lives to adopt some new habits for a new season over these next months. Because I think in general, in this pandemic time, over these last 4.5, 5 months, it's kind of upended us pretty significantly. I think a lot of us had some routines and habits and lots of areas of life that were running pretty well, and then those are no more. I still pay for my gym membership, but I haven't actually been since mid-March. But I was in a routine 3 times a week, and now that's gone. And I've got to establish a new routine in that area of my life. And the same thing is true in our spiritual life, in our church life, our life with God. A lot of us had some routines going, and they were really good. But over these last months, as everything has been upended, find ourselves not in those habits anymore and kind of drifting, or maybe just waiting until everything becomes the way it was before. And my strong encouragement for me, for all of us, is to say, let's adopt some new habits for a new time. And I'm going to challenge every one of us to consider adopting these 4 habits. The first one is to establish a regular weekend worship routine. A lot of us had that before. We just came to church, or many of you are online already, and so you did that. You had a routine. For a lot of us, though, that there's no routine anymore. So let me encourage you to have one, to develop one, to say, this is when we're going to watch as a family, and this is how we're going to do that. Or we're going to go to a watch party, and you'll hear a lot more about watch parties over these next weeks, and say, we're going to do that, or we're going to go to the studio audience on Friday night. But just have a routine. Know what you're doing, rather than just drifting of, oh yeah, one day we need to look at that again. Just say, no, this is what we do. This is our regular weekend routine. And you can watch the services at certain times, or you can also watch them on demand after Friday night. They're on demand, they're live on Friday night. So you've got the whole weekend to establish your routine. Second habit to consider is to engage your small group. If you're in a group, to say, I'm not just going to drift, I'm going to engage my group. And if you're not in a group, we're starting groups here in a couple of weeks, and that'll be really, really key to get in one. Some of them will be online, some of them will be in person, and many of them will be a hybrid. But be in a group and commit to that group, because that's how we grow spiritually. That's how we stay on track, is as we encourage one another and pray for one another and share with one another and bear one another's burdens. Regular weekend routine, be in a group. Third is to make sure that your kids stay engaged. There's opportunities online for their spiritual development. There's also going to be events and opportunities through this season for them to engage. And for those of you who have middle school students or high school students, make sure that they stay engaged too, because it'll be really, really easy for them not to. And I was a youth pastor for years. I also was a dad of 2 human beings that went through this teenage stuff. And one thing I'm thankful for looking back is, for us, church involvement was not optional. Like, we're a family that goes to church. That's our habit. That's our routine. And you're going to church, and you're going to be part of your youth ministry, part of your small group. And I'm really glad looking back I did that. There were some times that they just weren't that motivated or didn't want to, but we pushed through that and really encouraged them to go. And they're 2 people who love church now. And I'm thankful we established those habits. And we'll work really hard on the youth ministry and to make sure those small group experiences are as good as they can be, and that they'll have a good experience. The 4th habit is to seize the opportunity of this season. And really there I'm talking about being a here for good person. That rather than just sort of waiting for things to get back to normal in church and, oh, that'll be good, and it's sort of in a holding pattern, please understand, as a church, we are not in a holding pattern. We're in a pattern of seizing every opportunity of this moment to serve our community in new ways, to meet together in new ways, to connect to each other in new ways, to grow spiritually in new ways. This is one of those seasons, my prayer is that it might be the most impactful season in our community that we ever have, and that hundreds and hundreds and thousands of people through this season will come to know Christ, begin a relationship with Him, will at least realize as they're recipients of love, as we're the hands and feet of Jesus, that there is a God out there who cares about me. And that's all going to happen, not if somebody else engages, but that if you do and I do, because we're the church. So you can go online and see what it means to be a Here for Good person as we pray for our community, as we're generous, as we serve. But have an answer to that question of how am I seizing the opportunity of this season? How am I being a Here for Good person? Each of us will answer that a little bit differently, but have an answer. And so 4 things to think about here, okay? Establish a regular weekend routine, engage your small group, keep your kids involved, and then seize the opportunity of the season. Don't be in a holding pattern. Let's jump in with both feet. There will also be a lot of new events and a lot of new things that you're going to be hearing about that I think will become staples at Chase Oaks. They'll become some of the best things we do that we never would have done had it not been for Corona. So as I look forward to what is a very different season for our church, I don't know that I've ever been more excited about our church as we get to be the church in a whole new way, but it does mean all of us adopting some new habits. So thank you for being on board. Thank you for being open to God. I love you, and I'm so thankful to be on the journey with you.